EMS, come on up. Please, come on up. I'm dead serious. I paid for these things with my own money, so. I had these made up really. My dad just moved to Maryland from Ohio. He's going to be 94 next month. He was a B-24 bomber pilot during World War II, fought Hitler and the Nazis. And I wanted to do something special for the World War II generation of veterans. And I also wanted to do something for first responders, state police, sheriffs, everybody that fire, rescue. So I had these special Maryland hero medallions made up. They've got sacrifice, service, and valor. And I call them, they're right in the front, it's Maryland Hero Medallion. I give them to these folks because we really appreciate the fact that you're out there every day. I mean, it means something else. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
And wouldn't you know it, I had exactly the right number.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys.
This is the new major for the Northwest Police Station. The first official capacity meeting with the community.
Good evening, everyone. I'm LaTanya Lewis. I'm glad I came in right at the right time. I'm the newly assigned major to Northwest District, so I'm trying to come out this week and attend all the meetings to put a name to a face, introduce myself to everyone, and give everyone my phone number. If you want to take it down real quick, it's Major LaTanya Lewis, and my contact number is 410-913-3966. And I also have here with me tonight my Lieutenant Brown. She has the current shift that's on right now to what, 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
And you guys may be familiar already with the CCU unit that always comes to the meetings, but we're going to try to make it our best to come to meetings, have the shift commander, and also have some officers that patrol in your area. Okay? And I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. You have
Major, we want to bring you up later on.
Okay.
A presentation from the group.
All right. Thank you. I'll go in the back.
You know, I say all over the state that if you don't have public safety, you can't have an economy. And I mean that. And when I'm up at that funeral tomorrow, and there's another funeral for the second deputy sheriff on Saturday, I mean it. When, you know, there are a lot of bad guys out there. So thank you guys for letting me present those. Now, you're going to think I go crazy with these medallions, but this is the original comptroller medallion. These are much coveted. I've given them to all sorts of muck-and-mucks and VIPs. And I give them specifically to Marylanders and make a difference. George Mitchell, I don't know whether I can come to you, I guess, because you have a bum foot. I'm going to give you one. And since I've got two of my favorite women politicians here, and politicians generally, this is the year of the women as far as I'm concerned. Because I've decided that men are the problem. But I could not be more pleased to be in the presence of Sharon Green Middleton.
Thank you.
And I'd like to give one to my good friend Donna Edwards, because she does So let me just indicate that we have a tremendous amount of work going on right now. You've probably read about the comptroller's office. We've shut down 37 tax preparers around the state. Why did we do that? Well, I happen to think that government should be there to protect people and folks that are taking advantage of them.
That's right.
And when Sharon and her team saw all sorts of questionable returns, we call them, you know, these are returns like, you sit with the tax preparer and the tax preparer says, do you have a business? And you say, no, I don't have a business. Then he says, do you have a hobby? I said, well, yeah, sometimes I like to style people's hair. Oh, well, you got a business. You're a hairstylist. Let's put down all sorts of phony, fictional business income, and we're going to get a big fat refund. Most of the refund's coming back to me, the tax preparer. I'll give you a little bit. And where do these tax preparers tend to congregate? They go to Montgomery County, down in Bethesda, down in Annapolis, down, they go largely to economically challenged parts of the state. And when they leave, we come after the people that have filed fraudulent returns. And they're just ordinary people that are taken advantage of, and they're left holding the bag. So when you read about what we're doing in our office to protect people from them by shutting these folks down, understand we have very good reason to do this. You know, this is not something we're just making up. This is, we look at 1,000 returns and we see 1,000 problems. And we're just not going to allow it to move forward and make all sorts of refunds that taxpayers pay, because we all have to pay. That's who does these tax refunds. And when they're fraudulent, we're just not going to put up with it. It is not just a Maryland problem, it's a national problem. The U.S. Attorney in South Carolina just shut down a lot of these folks in Columbia and some of the other big cities. And it's happening all over the country, and you know, we advise everybody to be very careful. If you use one of these tax preparers, and it sounds too good to be true.
It is.
It is. So we've decided to go after them because they're the folks that are committing most of the problems, but ultimately it's the taxpayer who gets in trouble because you're the one who's signing the return. And if you happen to sit with someone who's preparing your taxes and that person wants you to sign it, but they're not going to sign it, that's a big red light. If they also want the tax refund to come back to them, gee, well, look, we're going to get you a big refund, and I'll pay you some out of it, but I have to pay my fees and all that stuff. So that's why it has to come to me. Get up and please run away from that tax preparer. And then if they don't put their tax preparer ID on it, you know, that's a red flag. So just bear with me a little bit on this issue because it has gotten a lot worse, a lot more quickly than any of us thought. It's connected to this other issue of identity theft. This is where Home Depot, Target, Blue Cross Blue Shield, big companies get hacked, their data gets hacked. The federal government, Congresswoman Edwards, gets 21 million federal retirees' financial information hacked. You read about it all the time because we're all concerned about privacy. What do they do with that information that they steal? They sell it on the black market to people that use it to fill out fraudulent tax refund requests, among other things. And the way we got going on this Liberty Tax was that we found over 1,100 tax returns from 7 Liberty Tax franchises. I think Park Heights had one of them. We traced them all back to these 7 different Liberty Tax franchises. So, but the problem is this. It's not just these tax preparers, it's also the kind of tidal wave of fraudulent returns we get coming in that's very hard for us to detect because they have exactly the right financial information on it that the real taxpayer would be filing. It's just that they're filing the fraudulent return ahead of them. So we get, literally thousands and thousands of Marylanders who file their taxes in March, and we're have to tell them the bad news that we've already given the refund to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
South Florida or the Ukraine. I got a phone call today on my cell phone. This is the IRS. This is the IRS, yeah. A couple of my investigators, they gave me a call. This is the IRS. You owe us money. We're going to sue you if you don't get on the phone and call us at 202-687-7177. It's a DC phone number.
Yeah.
So I gave it to my chief of my enforcement, Jeff Kelly, former, all 35 people in my enforcement division are sworn law officers, and they work for many of the police stations around the state. I gave it to Jeff and said, hey, here's a guy who's calling the wrong person. He's calling the comptroller. It's a damn fraud. Go and find out who it is. Well, he traced it through your